Hey guys, I'm still a few days out from the next full episode of Back Bumps to Ballrooms being ready, the one that covers my first day of official training. But in the meantime, I did want to make a short video talking a little bit about which wrestlers really inspire me and motivate me to be the best that I can be in this business, however far I end up going in it. Keep in mind, this isn't necessarily a list of my favorite wrestlers. These are just wrestlers who have either physical qualities or character qualities or qualities in themselves as people that I really admire and that I really want to embody myself as well once I, you know, find my footing and find my character. And if you pay real close attention while you're watching, you might catch a special little message from a certain WWE hardcore legend. Without further ado, let's just get started and let's talk about some wrestlers. The first wrestler I want to talk about is Kenny Omega, previously of New Japan Pro Wrestling and before that DDT. Anyways, he's in AEW now as one of the executive producers. I really admire Kenny Omega, obviously for being a hell of a wrestler, but there are two things that I admire about Kenny Omega. One is that he is a completely shameless nerd. His finishing move is called the One Winged Angel. Final Fantasy reference. He came out to Undertale on AEW. He did an Undertale entrance as well at Wrestle Kingdom. So he's a nerd and he's not ashamed of it, which is super cool. And you know what? Shout out to Xavier Woods along the same lines as well. But the thing about Kenny is I think he's just gone like so all in with it. Another thing I love about Kenny Omega is that he hasn't really been afraid to play with sexuality a little bit in his character. Maybe not necessarily officially in the storylines, but if you follow Japanese wrestling, then you know about Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, the Golden Lovers. There's this whole sort of sexual undertone to it all. And it's 2019. It's cool to see somebody really like embracing that and not really caring what people think. And speaking of not caring about what people think, there's this guy. CM Punk. Anyone who knows me in real life knows that obviously this guy was going to make the list. For all of the stories about him maybe not being the nicest guy in real life, I don't know. That's not my place to say. I've never met him. Him coming to WWE sort of changed the landscape of the big leagues in terms of pro wrestling. If I'm ever to really like make it, I have guys like CM Punk to thank. Coming into WWE's really rigid system by most accounts and still really kind of just doing things his own way, even right up to when he left the company. He left on his terms. He was like, I'm out because I'm not happy with what's happening here. And yes, of course, I can see the negatives in that as well, in terms of sort of like taking your ball and going home. But he stood up for his principles. For anything you might have to say about him outside of the ring as a person, him in the wrestling world, definitely something to aspire to. And along the same lines, Dean Ambrose / John Moxley, the same idea. Just getting out of there, doing what makes you happy, not really letting the system change you. The next wrestler that I want to talk about is sort of what I meant when I said that this isn't necessarily a list of my favorite wrestlers. Rey Mysterio. Don't get me wrong, I love Rey Mysterio, a legend, one of the greatest of all time, incredible in the ring. But for me, he was never one of my favorites. I wasn't a big WCW guy to begin with, to be honest with you. Sorry. And with WWF, WWE, I was into the Stone Colds and the Undertakers. But looking back now as an adult trying to get started in wrestling, there is so much to admire about Rey Mysterio in the sense that, he's my height. We're the same height, as far as I know. And the dude was a world champion. The guy's one of the most respected people in the entire industry. And he got over despite his size, just off of sheer talent alone. Because, and maybe I'm going to catch some heat for this, but Rey Mysterio isn't like the most charismatic guy. It's just the dude can go, right, in the ring. And yeah, of course that's something I want to aspire to be not only the best wrestler I possibly can be, but good enough at everything that nobody cares how big I am or not big I am. So Rey Mysterio, 100% an inspiration to me. And the last wrestler that I want to talk about today Or maybe should I say wrestlers? It's Mick Foley, aka Dude Love, aka Cactus Jack, aka Mankind, aka General Manager. Mick Foley was always willing to put his body on the line in the name of entertaining people. And some might call that stupid, some might call that reckless, and you know what? Yes, that's both of those things are true. But it was part of doing what he loved. I was 8 years old when Undertaker threw Mankind off the cell. King of the Ring, 1998. You know, that was a pivotal moment in my life. That stuck with me forever. So just like Mick Foley, I want to be able to go out there and do whatever it takes to put on the best show possible. And just like Mick Foley, I want to go out there and be creative as all hell. He's the only person to have ever wrestled in a Royal Rumble as 3 different characters. Dude Love, Cactus Jack, Mankind. Did he wrestle as himself as well? At the very least 3. I don't remember if he came out as like Mick Foley. I don't think he did. Tell me if I'm wrong, but you know you've got the creativity part sorted out when you can come up with that many different characters that are all over enough that you can just roll with it, right? Speaking of the multiple faces of Foley, I have something special to share with you guys. So a number of years ago, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, I contributed a pretty significant amount of money to Mick Foley's Kickstarter for a documentary called I Am Santa Claus, which he was involved in. And part of the rewards for that was getting a video message from the man himself, you know, answering a question you might have for him. And the question that I asked him was, if you could have another face of Foley, who would it be? And I think I asked him to cut a short promo in character as well, if he was into it. So with the context out of the way, let's go ahead and see what Mick had to say.
That's a kind of difficult task for me, but I'm going to go with the Foley, the Edwardian wrestler. Sir, excuse me, sir. I believe you're asking a bit too much of me, given the circumstances. I'm recording about 50 of these promos right here in the Foley Christmas room, and the fact that you want me to create an entirely new character just for you, sir, smacks of indecency.
So yeah, that was Victorian era Mick Foley. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. And while you're there, let me know which wrestlers inspire you. Who are your favorite wrestlers? Who are wrestlers that have qualities that you see in yourself or would like to have in yourself? I would really love to know. So don't be shy, leave a comment. Keep an eye out for the next full video of Back Bumps to Ballrooms with my first day of training. That'll be coming at you in the next few days, probably. If you want to be ready for that, then like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification button, all that fun stuff on this video. So once again, thanks so much for hanging out, and I'll see you again very soon. Thank you again, you guys, and before I forget, I just want to remind you to please check out the videos on the side of your screen right now to see some more fun, cool content.